It's tax season and people everywhere are counting their earnings and tallying receipts. Our return tells us how much we made, what we spent, and how much we paid in taxes. But for President Trump, those answers are still left in question. Questions about the president's taxes dogged him during the campaign.
I will release my tax returns against my lawyer's wishes when she releases her 33,000 emails that have been deleted.
It must be something really important, even terrible, that he's trying to hide.
And those questions didn't die once he took office. He has repeatedly said he will not release his tax returns. And the president has every right to keep his taxes private. The president of the United States is not required by law to make them public. It was a practice that began in 1973, when then-President Richard Nixon voluntarily released his tax returns amid the Watergate scandal. Every president since then followed suit. That is until now, with President Trump breaking the 40-year tradition. However, the president, as well as all members of Congress, are required to submit a financial disclosure form. Tax attorney Alan Scioli says there's a lot we can learn from a financial disclosure. In fact, he says they can actually be more detailed than a tax return ever could be.
Like specific types of stock, holdings and positions, specifically percentages that you are involved in businesses and corporations or other types of entities. Whereas a tax return will cover or show some of those, but won't go into detail specifically of, you know, I'm the president of X company versus I'm just a shareholder of X company.
And those disclosure forms are easy to find. Anyone can go online and see the finances for members of Congress. We printed off those for the reps in our viewing area, and Scioli walked us through what we can learn from them.
This individual obviously is investing heavily, you know, and they're involved in the 521 savings plan, so obviously they have some kids or something that they're planning for the future. And a lot of stock options, 403B plans. So this individual is very heavily invested.
So we know where a Congress member's money comes from. It's all right here in these financial disclosure forms required for office. But here in Lansing, many of our lawmakers' finances remain a mystery. That's because Michigan is one of only 2 states that does not require state lawmakers to release their financial information, something that we found out not many people knew, and something that concerned those who did. So did you know that Michigan state lawmakers aren't required to release any financial information to the public, like where their money comes from?
No, I didn't know that. It is concerning. I think we all should know where it's coming from. So,
what are their expenses? Do they maybe live higher than we do? I mean, I don't know. Do they donate the same amount of money that we do? Do they contribute to certain causes that the rest of us do? Kind of makes you think.
In 2015, Michigan received a grade of F from the Center for Public Integrity, which conducted an investigation into the integrity of all 50 states. The lack of transparency in our state lawmakers' finances was a part of that.
Yeah, so right now in Michigan, if you're running for the state legislature, you don't have to file any information about your financial investments, who pays you to do work on the side, anything like that.
But why is that a problem? Craig Mauger is the executive director of the watchdog group Michigan Campaign Finance Network. He says it all boils down to potential conflicts of interest.
These are lawmakers that are studying legislation that impacts all of these businesses, organizations, you know, fields that these people could be working on.
Mauger uses this example. Say a lawmaker is pushing for a bill to allow ride-sharing companies to have more access to certain areas. Now, at the same time, that lawmaker drives for Uber on the side and personally benefits financially from this bill. Currently, there is no way for the public to know. Mauger says a disclosure would reveal that information so voters can make an informed choice.
I mean, the examples for things like this are endless. And right now, there could be many more examples that no one ever hears about, and likely there are.
But those same state lawmakers aren't prohibited from releasing their financial information, so we asked them, sending emails and made calls to reps from across our viewing area. But we didn't get any back. Many lawmakers ignored our requests. One denied it, citing privacy for their spouse, and the rest acknowledged interest in the idea, but didn't send anything by the deadline. Mauger says many lawmakers feel it's unnecessary or simply too complicated for the average voter to understand, and some just feel it's an invasion of privacy. Bills to require the financial disclosures for state lawmakers have been introduced by both parties in the past, but have fallen flat on Capitol floor. But with the growing hunger for more information on our politicians, Mauger believes legislation could move forward in the future.
For people to understand this is kind of a first step to educate the public that, hey, you may think that we have an understanding of what outside interest these lawmakers have, but we really don't have that.